If Niccolo Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be wasting time arguing in comment sections about high value and alpha. He'd be watching quietly, asking sharp questions and letting everyone else reveal who they really are. That's the part most men miss. Real power in relationships doesn't come from talking more. It comes from asking better, especially with women. The right questions don't just fill silence. They expose values, desires, fears, and intentions without you ever needing to give a speech. In this episode of Seductive Wisdom, we're taking Machiavelli's cold understanding of human nature and applying it to something modern men actually struggle with. Connecting with women in a way that's deep, honest, and not dripping with neediness. These 5 questions aren't cheesy interview lines or therapy sessions. They are designed to do 3 things at once. Make her feel seen, show you how she really thinks, and quietly reveal whether this is a woman you should move closer to or keep at a distance. No manipulation, no fake persona, just strategic curiosity guided by clear standards. Before we get into the questions, I want you to be brutally honest in the comments. When you talk to women right now, do you spend more time trying to impress them or actually trying to understand them? And more importantly, has that strategy been working for you? Write impress or understand below. By the end of this video, my goal is simple: that you walk away with questions sharp enough that Machiavelli would respect them, and a mindset strong enough that you never again confuse shallow chemistry with real compatibility. 1. What does she secretly respect? If Machiavelli were sitting next to you on a date, he wouldn't care about her favorite color or movie. He'd want to know one thing: what does this woman secretly respect in people? Because whatever she respects, she will eventually reward. And whatever she quietly looks down on, she will eventually punish or abandon. So instead of asking shallow questions, ask something like, what kind of people do you genuinely respect the most, and why? This sounds harmless, but it opens a deep door. Listen carefully. Does she respect people for power, status, money, beauty, popularity, winning at any cost? Or does she respect loyalty, restraint, honesty, consistency, patience, integrity when it's hard? Her answer tells you what she will eventually want from you, and what she will admire or despise in your behavior. If she says she respects people who always get what they want, that's a very different woman from the one who says she respects people who keep their word even when it costs them. From a Machiavellian angle, this question is powerful because you're not asking, what do you say you want in a man? You're asking, what do you reward in humans? That's her real value system. From a seductive wisdom angle, it connects you because you're not just flirting. You're showing strategic curiosity. You can follow up with, has anyone in your life earned your permanent respect? What did they do? Now she's not just talking, she's revealing the map inside her mind. And a man who can calmly read that map without judging or pandering is already far more attractive than the one who's just throwing compliments and hoping for chemistry. 2. How does she handle power and blame? Machiavelli was obsessed with one question: what do people do when they have leverage, and when they're caught? With a woman, you can explore both by asking something like, when something goes wrong, do you usually take responsibility first or look at what others did? Or, have you ever had power over someone, at work, in a group, in a relationship, and how did you handle it? Listen less to the story and more to the pattern. Does she talk about situations where she had the upper hand and taught people a lesson, made them regret it, or kept them chasing? Or does she mention setting boundaries without cruelty, leading without humiliating, correcting without destroying? When it comes to blame, does she ever use the words, I was wrong, I overreacted, I hurt someone, or is it always, they were crazy, they were toxic, everyone else messed up? A woman who never sees herself as the villain in any story is telling you exactly how future conflicts with you will sound. From a Machiavellian perspective, this question shows you how she plays the game of life. Is she a pure opportunist, a victim in her own narrative, or someone capable of power and accountability? From a seductive wisdom perspective, it connects you because you're not interrogating. You're inviting her to show you her self-awareness. You can deepen it by lightly sharing one of your own mistakes and how you handled it. The way she reacts to your honesty will tell you whether you're talking to someone who understands growth or someone who only understands winning. 3. What is she willing to sacrifice? Machiavelli would never judge someone by what they say they want. He'd judge them by what they're willing to give up to get it. With a woman, the real question isn't just what does she dream about, but what will she sacrifice for her dreams? You can get to this by asking something like, what's something important you've sacrificed for a goal or a principle? Or, what would you never sacrifice no matter what you're offered? Her answer shows you her hierarchy. Comfort versus values, short-term pleasure versus long-term purpose. If she tells you she wants a serious relationship, but proudly admits she never sacrifices her ego, her nightlife, or her flirting habits for anyone, believe the actions, not the words. If she says family matters but won't sacrifice even a little convenience for them, that's data. On the other hand, a woman who can calmly say, I walked away from something fun but wrong, or I took a harder path because it was the right one, is showing you she's capable of loyalty and delayed gratification. That's gold in a world full of impulse. This question connects you on a deeper level because it makes the conversation about real trade-offs, not fantasy. You're inviting her to reveal what she fights for, what she walks away from, and where her line in the sand actually is. If you then share your own answer, what you've sacrificed for your principles, your faith, your work, your peace, you're no longer two people trading small talk. You're two people showing each other the prices you're willing to pay, and that's where genuine attraction and long-term compatibility start to become visible. 4. Who does she become under pressure? Machiavelli didn't care who people were on their best days. He cared who they became when things went wrong. With a woman, you want to see the same thing, not by stressing her on purpose, but by inviting her to talk about her own pressure points. Ask something like, what are you like when you're really stressed? Or, tell me about a time everything went wrong at once. How did you handle it? You're not just fishing for drama, you're watching the version of herself she chooses to show you under fire. Listen for how she describes her reactions. Does she brag about going crazy and blowing everyone up and cutting people off instantly and destroying someone who hurt her? That tells you she sees emotional chaos and revenge as strength. Or does she admit, I shut down at first, then I try to think, or I get emotional, but I usually come back and fix things? That shows you there's at least some self-awareness and a desire to grow. Pay attention to whether she ever mentions apologizing, trying to understand the other side, or learning from the situation. Or if every story ends with her being the flawless heroine surrounded by idiots from a Machiavellian angle, this question is about risk assessment. If life hits both of you at once, money problems, family issues, health scares, is she going to be your ally or your second enemy? From a seductive wisdom angle, it creates connection because you're giving her space to be real, not perfect. If you then share who you become under pressure, your worst tendencies and how you're working on them, you're not just flirting, you're testing whether the two of you can stand in the same storm without turning on each other. That's far more important than whether you like the same music. 5. What kind of future is she really building? Machiavelli would never judge a person by their intentions alone. He'd look at their trajectory. With a woman, that means you don't just ask, "What do you want one day?" You ask questions that expose where her life is actually pointed right now. Something like, if your life keeps going the way it is now, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or, what are you quietly working toward that most people don't know about? Her answer tells you whether her future is just talk or a real moving plan. Listen for alignment between her words and her daily life. If she says she wants stability but lives in constant drama and impulse, believe the pattern. If she claims she wants marriage and family but proudly prioritizes attention, nightlife, and chaos over consistency, that's the future you're signing up for. On the other hand, if she speaks about growth, inner work, faith, career, health, or family in a way that matches how she spends her time now, even imperfectly, you're seeing a woman whose direction is real, not just Instagram quotes. This question connects you because it shifts the conversation from fantasy to reality. You're not just asking, could we have chemistry? You're asking, could our futures actually fit? If you share your own direction with the same honesty, where you're headed if nothing changes, and what you're trying to change, you invite her into a bigger picture. Machiavelli would approve of that. You're not getting lost in romance, you're using romance with strategy. To see whether walking beside this woman will move you closer to the life you're trying to build or quietly pull you away from it. If you strip these 5 questions down to their core, they're all asking the same thing. Who are you really when no one is performing? What do you respect? How do you handle power and blame? What will you sacrifice? Who are you under pressure? Where are you actually headed? That's the information Machiavelli would have wanted before trusting anyone. And it's the information most men never bother to gather before they hand over their time, attention, money, and heart. You don't need to become paranoid or cold, you just need to become curious in a strategic way. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these questions do you never ask? And which one are you going to start using on your next real conversation? Not as an interrogation, but as a calm filter? Drop it in the comments. Respect, power and blame, sacrifice, pressure, or future. And if you watch to the end and you're done chasing chemistry without understanding character type, seductive wisdom. So I know you're part of the men who want insight, not just entertainment. If this episode of Seductive Wisdom gave you a sharper way to read women and yourself, don't just scroll away and forget it, save it. Send it to a friend who keeps falling for the same type and come back to these questions before you get emotionally invested next time. Remember, attraction can start with looks, but long-term connection is built on patterns. The man who knows how to ask the right questions isn't colder or crueler. He's simply the one who stops confusing a pretty story with the truth.